Back in 2019, when I was setting up my first YouTube watch review channel, there was a brand that I was paying particular interest in because their watches, to me anyway, were fascinating. So much so that I bought one, and it was one of the first watches I ever reviewed. It was the Z series by Ciga Design. And at the time, they had another watch which I kept going onto their website and onto AliExpress to have a look at. I was so close to buying the C series on so many occasions, but for some reason there was just something about the way it looked. I thought it looked a little bit cheap. It certainly didn't look as premium. I think the word I'm looking for is premium as the Z series. So I never reviewed it, and it is a particularly affordable Ciga design. But still, there was just something about the way it looked that just sort of put me off a little bit. However, they have now made a far more premium, well, it's not really a version of the C series, it's a completely different watch. But there is a striking resemblance. It's a sort of square-cased, skeletonized black watch, and it looks really, really good. And it is a more premium watch. Ciga Design have transitioned into, well, hard to explain really, but they now make fairly original looking, premium, quite expensive, almost sort of arty watches. They're like wearable works of art. And they recently launched a Series Y Eastern Jade watch, and this watch is available in different colours, just not to us, sadly. Ciga Design have decided to make the all black version of this watch available globally. This has proven to be the most popular colour version of this watch, so although it has Jade in the title, it's, well, not Jade, it's a black ceramic watch. It's got an identical feel to the ceramic Blue Planet that I reviewed. It's a really interesting material, this. It's sort of smooth and glossy, but also sticky. It's very tactile. It looks really, really nice. It definitely feels like a premium material. And this, when compared to the more affordable square skeletonized watch that they make, yeah, it's a different world. And because of that, you are going to pay a premium for this watch. It is $600 US. And like I've said already, there's no Jade on this watch. Yeah, that confused me a little bit. When they offered me this watch to review, I honestly thought there was going to be some Jade somewhere, but there isn't. Anyway, despite that, it is an interesting looking watch. It's, I think, what we've come to expect now from Ciga Design. Compared to some of their more recent watches, it's actually quite an affordable one. Let me talk you through some of the specifications. The packaging, first of all, is interesting. Their packaging is premium, and this particular watch does come in very nice packaging. It's got a sort of fabric feel to it, and yeah, the watch is very nicely presented. The bracelet is a ceramic bracelet. You've got push pins, a butterfly clasp, a little bit of taper on this bracelet. Again, like the case, it just feels super sort of slick, and it's just got a really nice feel to it, this material. Double-ended quick release spring bars. It attaches to the case very, very easily. You've got some sort of hidden lugs. It's a square case, and the bracelet just sort of slots underneath the case. It's tidy. Automatic movement inside this watch. There's not a huge amount of information about the movement. It's not clear if it's a clone or an original movement. 28,800 beats per hour. It does hack, it does hand wind. There's a seconds complication in the center of the dial. It's not a seconds hand, it's a wheel. And then you've got skeletonized hands on a skeletonized dial. It's, yeah, not the most legible watch, but like I've said already, they're watches these days, they're more like wearable art than actual timepieces. And the movement seems to sort of float freely inside the case. It's being held in place by a transparent holder. I think it does look a lot better than the C series, because the C series had structural elements inside that watch that held the movement and the hands, and it just looked a little bit busier, whereas this one really does look like the movement and the sort of dial is floating in nothing. But that doesn't help the legibility. The legibility is not great. But I don't think you're going to buy this watch because of the legibility. I think you're going to buy this watch because of the material and the fact that it's a Ciga design and the fact that it really does look like the movement is just sort of floating. The case is pretty cool. It's made of the same material as the bracelet. It's a sort of black, almost very, very dark grey, shiny, reflective material. It is weird. It doesn't feel like steel or titanium. It feels quite heavy and dense. Not particularly easy to make or manufacture, I don't think, which is one of the reasons why you'll pay a premium for watches made of this sort of material. Two pieces of crystal, of course, that's what gives this sort of impression that the movement is floating freely, and unfortunately the crystal in the case back appears to be mineral crystal. The crystal in front of the watch is sapphire crystal. Two really nice pieces of crystal, of course. They complete that sort of pebble-like feel and look to the case. It's almost seamless. The case back is screwed down. The crown is a pull push crown, 30 meters of water resistance, but I wouldn't expect any more with a watch like this. You're not likely to swim or do any sort of water sports wearing this watch, I don't think. Yeah, it's definitely one of their more interesting new releases that I've seen recently. Their Everest didn't blow me away. Yes, it was a tourbillon watch and it had a piece of Mount Everest in it, but in terms of the design and the specifications, the style and the dimensions, didn't blow me away, that one. But this one, I really like the look of it. It looks premium, it feels premium, and actually for Ciga design, like I've said already, it is one of their more affordable new releases. Yeah, they are selling some really quite expensive watches these days. And I'm curious to see where this brand goes. It's gone in a direction that I never would have predicted, and it's definitely a brand to keep half an eye on, I think. For years now, they've been producing really interesting watches, and I suspect that's going to continue, right, guys? As always, let me know what you think of the watch and the review, and I appreciate you watching. Cheers, guys. Take care. Look after yourselves.